So, after much thinking, many spreadsheets, and a few videos that I've been bothering you guys with, I finally decided which stock I'm buying next. Now, this I couldn't find a company that would fit my portfolio better, but not just fit my portfolio and pay me a dividend. It's also like the obvious stock to buy right now, and it is, in my opinion, Lockheed Martin. So, Lockheed Martin, the world's largest defense contractor, mostly known for fighters, missiles, radars, satellites, 5G, space parts, helicopters. They own Sikorsky helicopters, by the way. I think this is a company that's been slow and steady for a long time now, but I see a little bit of a shift in sentiment. So the company generates about $65 billion of revenue. That's a lot. It's like twice that of Tesla, I think. They have a $106 billion market cap, so it's fairly cheap. It's like 1.4 times revenue or so, very cheap. Pays 2.7% dividend, and they've been increasing their dividend for 16 years straight. So it is a dividend aristocrat, one of the most stable companies in the world, if not the most stable. And over the last 5 years, they've grown revenue by 67%, decent. Stock is up 82%, but if you put dividend on top of that 82%, you get another 25%. So it's done about 107% return with dividend in 5 years. That's pretty good. And, they've only grown revenue by about, 12, 13% a year, but the revenue for Lockheed Martin comes from the Department of Defense, NASA, and other government agencies in the US, but also around the world. And government spending is mostly tied to GDP, so the gross domestic product of a country, which doesn't grow very fast, so it's kind of tough for Lockheed to grow their revenue really fast. But nevertheless, apart from a small lull, from 2014 to 2016, they've been growing revenues every year from 2006, more or less. So it's one of the most stable companies around. And of course, the main reason for that is that their main customers are the Department of Defense and NASA. Maybe the best customers you could wish for. So they're in a very luxurious spot. And not many companies can claim to be big contractors for these guys. So the money is coming in, and it's coming in real steady. So this is one of those companies where I see no downside. It's just a question of what's the upside. And by the way, guys, the Department of Defense spends 28% of the total spending on Lockheed Martin. So it is the most valuable company to the Pentagon. And Lockheed Martin produces such great weapon systems that in order to export outside of the US, it has to be cleared and signed off by the Pentagon, because that's how important these products are. The F-22 fighter is so good that it is illegal. They cannot sell it to anyone else than the US. So I think that speaks volume to what Lockheed Martin puts out there. And of course, defense spending is a very stable source of income, as it's generated by a percentage of GDP. And the GDP of countries usually stays quite stable. And besides the Department of Defense and the Pentagon, if they clear a contract, Lockheed Martin can also sell fighters and other services and products outside the country to customers that are mostly within the F-35 program. So that's UK, Italy, France, Canada, Australia, Switzerland, Norway, Israel, Japan, Germany, Poland, Turkey, and Denmark. So all of these governments do spend some money with Lockheed Martin, especially on the F-35, which is still the world's most advanced weapon system, and maybe the world's most advanced product overall. No wonder it costs like $100 million to buy one or something. So this, if you don't know, is the the fifth generation fighter jet with, of course, stealth capabilities, and it's by far the most advanced fighter. And whenever they go up against other planes in some sort of simulation, they usually like shoot all the other planes down before they've even spotted the F-35. They have a couple of variants. They have some for the all-around fighters, and then they have some with more load capacity, I think. And then they have some that can actually take off vertically and on short runways, so mostly for taking off on ships. And these planes are so advanced, and I think the only quantum computer in operation in the world today is operated by Lockheed Martin. And I think it's has something to do with the F-35 program. And of course, governments around the world and Department of Defense spend a lot of money with Lockheed Martin. And as we recover from the pandemic, and of course GDP usually expands over time anyways, the revenue of Lockheed Martin expands, but hopefully it can expand faster than GDP. But these are some really strong economies, especially the US and these allies. And of course, I think it's just a very, very stable source of revenue for Lockheed Martin, and something most companies don't have. Like, you can't ask for better customers than NASA and Department of Defense, really. And if you look at the company's revenue breakdown, a lot of people think it's just fighters and F-35, and whenever there's some news about the F-35, they think Lockheed Martin is going to go under or something. So they make about 38% from aeronautics, so that's basically fighters, cargo planes and helicopters, because Lockheed Martin owns Sikorsky as well. 16% from missiles and fire control. 25% from rotary and mission systems, and then 21% from space systems. This is something a lot of people don't know. Lockheed Martin is one of the key players in space. It sounds weird, but space is quite commercialized at this point and militarized with time, so Lockheed Martin is a huge player there. Now, the company makes about 70% of their money in the US, obviously, 20% international, and 2% others. Maybe that's private contractors or something. Now, of course, they're known for F-35, but I want you to keep an eye out for missile defense systems, radars, drones or UAVs, satellites, 5G, spacecraft, mission controls, and quantum computing. Lockheed is in some big trends. So yeah, these were some products, but when we look at it from a broad perspective, they're big in UAVs, space, 5G, cyber warfare, and proxy warfare. So I think most warfare in the future between sophisticated enemies will be proxy, long range, cyber. That's Lockheed Martin's bread and butter. So I think they're very well positioned. And as space, for example, becomes crowded and militarized, who do you go for, right? Who will the US go to? And the new Space Force, who will they turn to when they need products and eventually maybe even militarized space products? Obviously Lockheed. And now that Boeing is hurt, I think maybe Lockheed will be the one to step up in space. Now, Boeing will recover, but, Boeing's setback could definitely have helped Lockheed Martin a little bit. Now, when we talk about the stock, where's the company right now? I feel like it's quite undervalued. It's trading at like 1.3 times revenue or something. It's a very cheap stock, and it's been on a break since 2018. So no gains since 2018 besides dividend. And I think it's time for the stock to actually move. And I see a shift in sentiment around Lockheed Martin. And I think it's going from this like military industrial complex, slow and steady, to a more innovative player, well positioned in many big trends going forwards. And that's why I'm picking up the stock, and that's why I think Catherine Wood is actually picking up a lot of shares in Lockheed, also in her new ETF ARKX. And I see all upside. What's the downside for Lockheed? What will happen? We've just had an global economic hit. The stock has been on a break. We're about to recover. There hasn't been any tensions as of recently because we've all been busy with the pandemic. But now people are starting to look to space. They're starting to look at each other again. And Lockheed Martin is just right there. And one really exciting project that probably been put a little bit on hold is the X-59 Quest supersonic jet. Yeah, Lockheed and NASA, I believe, are developing a supersonic jet, and they're developing supersonic rockets. So, there's a lot of exciting products in the pipeline. And if we step back and look at, what are the bullet points for Lockheed? We have one of the maybe the most stable company on the planet, because you have the stability of government spending. It's a dividend aristocrat. It's a leader in big trends that are developing right now. It's a cheap stock, ready to move. They have a great track record when it comes to revenue, dividend, and the brand. They even have a really good ESG score. It's a tiny recovery play, I think, because defense spending has not been the priority as of late. Let's just put it like that. And it's a small hedge against tensions. Whenever tensions flare up in Eastern Europe or the South China Sea, up goes Lockheed Martin stock. So, and besides, just the 2.7% dividend yield would net me a 67% return in 20 years. And if you put just a 10% annual appreciation on top of that, the aggregate return from the dividend alone, if the stock goes up 10%, just the dividend, is 160%. So I think Lockheed is a bulletproof stock. There's no way but up. Sure, it might not be the most exciting growth stock right now, but I think sentiment is turning. So that's why I'm buying Lockheed. Let me know if you're jumping on the ship as well. Thanks for watching. I'm kind of drying up for videos ideas for you guys, because I know you like it when I talk about companies I'm buying and trades I'm making in my portfolio, but there's not always anything happening with my portfolio, and I don't feel like I can do like basic videos for you guys anymore. I feel like you just fall asleep. So, and I don't want to cover random companies that everyone else are talking about. I don't want to talk about Tesla in every other video, or GME or Bitcoin or whatever. So if you have any ideas of videos that you want to see and you think I actually want to do, let me know. Thanks for watching. Hope I'll see you in the next one, guys, whenever that is. Cheers.